Good morning. I want to ask you a question. When was the last time you truly pushed yourself? Not just showed up, but just the minimum, but truly gave it everything you had. If your answer isn't today, then we have work to do. Every single day we wake up with a choice to stay the same or a choice to grow. And let me tell you something, growth is not comfortable. It's not easy. It's painful. It's exhausting. And it will test you in ways you never imagined. But that's exactly why you have to do it. No one is coming to save you. That's a hard truth many people avoid, but the sooner you accept it, the sooner you can take control of your life. Too many people wait for the perfect moment, the right opportunity, or someone else to step in and make things easier for them. They blame their circumstances, their past, or other people for why they aren't where they want to be. But the truth is, nothing changes until you decide to change it. Taking ownership of your life means understanding that everything your success, your failures, your habits, your mindset is in your hands. No more excuses, no more waiting. It's time to step up. Most people go through life on autopilot. They wake up, go to work, come home, scroll through their phones and repeat the cycle. They talk about what they wish they had, but they never actually do anything about it. Why? Because it's easier to stay comfortable than to take responsibility. It's easier to blame a bad childhood, a bad boss, a bad economy, or bad luck. But those who truly succeed, those who transform their lives, refuse to let excuses define them. They don't wait for things to happen. They make things happen. Taking ownership starts with your mindset. If you constantly tell yourself that life is unfair, that you've been dealt a bad hand, that others have it easier, then you've already lost. You're giving your power away. The moment you shift your mindset from why is this happening to me to how can I overcome this, everything changes. You start seeing obstacles as challenges instead of setbacks. You stop looking for shortcuts and start putting in the work. One of the hardest parts of taking ownership is accepting that your past doesn't define your future. Maybe you grew up in a tough situation. Maybe you've made mistakes. Maybe life hasn't been kind to you. But none of that matters when it comes to what you do next. Your past is only a story if you keep telling it the same way. The best thing you can do is learn from it, use it as fuel, and move forward. David Goggins didn't let his past of abuse, failure, and self-doubt keep him down. He owned it, faced it, and used it to build an unstoppable mindset. Another part of ownership is recognizing that you are responsible for your actions every single day. The way you spend your time, the way you react to challenges, the way you treat your body and mind, it's all on you. If you're not where you want to be, it's because of the choices you've made. That's not meant to discourage you. In fact, it should empower you, because if your choices got you here, that means different choices can take you somewhere better. This applies to every area of life. Your health. No one is forcing you to eat poorly or skip workouts. Your career. No one is stopping you from learning new skills or working harder. Your relationships. No one is responsible for how you communicate and show up but you. The moment you take full accountability, you stop feeling powerless. Instead of waiting for things to change, you start making them change. Most people don't want to hear this. It's easier to stay comfortable. It's easier to believe that life is out of our control. But the people who truly succeed mentally, physically, financially are the ones who refuse to let excuses control them. They wake up every day and take action no matter what obstacles are in their way. They don't wait for permission, for motivation, or for luck. They focus on what they can control and dominate that. Taking ownership of your life is not a one-time decision. It's a daily commitment. It means waking up and choosing to push yourself even when no one is watching. It means holding yourself to a higher standard and refusing to settle for less. It means cutting out excuses, owning your failures, and stepping up every single day. Because at the end of the day, no one is coming to save you. It's all on you, and that's the best news you could ever hear. Your mind is your greatest weapon, but for most people, it's also their biggest enemy. The way you think, the way you talk to yourself, and the way you react to challenges all determine whether you succeed or fail. If your mind is weak, it will convince you to quit when things get tough. It will tell you that you're not good enough, that you don't have what it takes, that the pain isn't worth it. But if you learn to control your mind instead of letting it control you, you become unstoppable. Most people don't even realize how much their thoughts dictate their actions. They let negative self-talk run on autopilot, reinforcing doubt, fear, and hesitation. I can't do this. I'm not smart enough. I'm too tired. These thoughts feel real, but they're nothing more than stories you've told yourself for years. And the more you repeat them, the more they shape your reality. Your mind is like a muscle. If you train it with weakness, it will become weak. If you train it with strength, it will become strong. One of the most important steps in mastering your mindset is becoming aware of these thoughts and replacing them with stronger ones. When your mind tells you to quit, you respond with not yet. When it tells you you're not capable, you remind yourself of all the times you've overcome obstacles before. You don't let negative thoughts control you. You challenge them. This isn't just about thinking positively. It's about rewiring your brain to see struggle as opportunity instead of defeat. Discomfort is another test of your mindset. When you're uncomfortable, your mind's first instinct is to escape. It wants to stop, to turn back, to find the easy way out. This is why most people never reach their full potential. They run from discomfort instead of pushing through it. But if you learn to embrace discomfort, you become stronger than 99% of people. The ability to sit in pain, to endure hardship, and to keep moving forward even when everything in you wants to quit, that's what separates winners from everyone else. David Goggins talks about the concept of callousing the mind. Just like lifting weights creates calluses on your hands, pushing yourself mentally creates calluses in your mind. Every time you force yourself to do something hard, whether it's waking up early, training when you're tired, or working when you don't feel like it, you build mental toughness. And over time, what once felt impossible becomes second nature. The key is consistency. You don't just push yourself once and expect results. You do it every day until discipline becomes your default mode. Another powerful tool is visualization. Most people use their imagination to fuel fear. They picture themselves failing, embarrassing themselves, or not measuring up. But high achievers do the opposite. They visualize success. They see themselves overcoming obstacles before they even face them. They prepare mentally for hardship so that when it comes, they're ready. Goggins himself visualized the pain of his Navy SEAL training long before he went through it. By the time he was in the worst moments, he had already conquered them in his mind. One of the hardest truths to accept is that your mind is lying to you. It tells you you're tired long before you actually are. It tells you that you're at your limit when you still have 60% left in the tank. Your job is to override these false signals and push past them. The body can handle far more than the mind allows. The moment you realize this, you take back control. You no longer listen to the voice that says stop. Instead, you tell it, watch me keep going. The world is filled with people who let their minds dictate their limits. They stay stuck in cycles of fear, doubt, and hesitation because they never challenge their thoughts. But the ones who break free, the ones who achieve greatness, are the ones who take control of their minds. They rewire their thinking, embrace discomfort, and push forward no matter what. That's the mindset you need if you want to reach your full potential. The moment you stop letting your mind control you, you become unstoppable. Discipline is the foundation of success. It is what separates those who achieve their goals from those who only dream about them. Most people rely on motivation to get things done, but motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes, and when it disappears, most people stop taking action. That's the difference between winners and everyone else. Winners don't wait to feel inspired. They show up and put in the work no matter what. That's discipline. Think about the days when you feel unstoppable, when you wake up full of energy, ready to take on the world. Those days are easy, but what about the days when you're tired, when you don't feel like working out, when your goals seem far away? That's when discipline matters most. It's the ability to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. And the truth is, the more you train yourself to act despite how you feel, the stronger you become. People who lack discipline make excuses. They say they don't have time, they don't have the right circumstances, or they'll start tomorrow. But tomorrow never comes for people who think like that. If something truly matters to you, You make time. If you want something bad enough, you stop looking for excuses and start finding solutions. Discipline is about committing to something and following through, no matter the obstacles. The best way to develop discipline is through consistency. You don't build it overnight. It's like a muscle. It grows stronger the more you use it. You start by keeping small promises to yourself. If you say you're going to wake up at 5 a.m., then wake up at 5 a.m. No snooze button, no negotiations. If you say you're going to work out, you get up and train, even if it's raining, even if you're tired, even if no one else is watching. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you reinforce the habit of discipline. Every time you break a promise, you make it easier to quit next time. One of the hardest parts of discipline is pushing through discomfort. Your mind will always look for an easy way out. It will tell you that you deserve to rest, that one missed workout doesn't matter, that skipping one day won't make a difference. But that's how people fail. One missed day turns into a week, then a month, and suddenly they're back to square one. The best way to fight this is to stop negotiating with yourself. There is no decision to be made, you just do it. David Goggins talks about being uncommon among uncommon people. That means not just being disciplined, but being disciplined at a level that most people will never reach. It means training when others stop, working when others quit, and pushing yourself past the limits that most people accept. When you live with discipline, you stand out. You accomplish things others won't because you're willing to do things others won't. The real power of discipline is that it builds confidence. When you know you can rely on yourself, when you prove to yourself over and over that you follow through, you develop an unstoppable mindset. Confidence doesn't come from talent, luck, or motivation. It comes from hard work and consistency. The more you show up for yourself, the people who succeed in life are not the ones with the most talent or the best circumstances. They are the ones who show up every single day, no matter what. They are the ones who train, work, and push forward even when they don't feel like it. That's what discipline is. It's doing the work every day without excuses. Because in the end, discipline beats motivation every time. Most people never realize how much more they are capable of because they quit before they even come close to their true limits. The moment things get hard, they slow down, step back, or give up entirely. They assume that once discomfort kicks in, that's the sign to stop. But the truth is, the moment you feel like quitting is exactly when you need to push harder. That's when the real growth happens. That's when you separate yourself from the average person. David Goggins talks about the 40% rule, which says that when you feel like you're done, when your mind is screaming at you to stop, you're really only at 40% of your potential. That means you still have 60% left in the tank, but your brain is trying to convince you otherwise. The mind is designed to keep you safe, to conserve energy, to avoid discomfort. But that safety mechanism is also what keeps most people stuck, never breaking past their own mental barriers. The ones who succeed, the ones who push past their perceived limits, are the ones who realize that pain is just weakness leaving the body. The problem is that people look at struggle as a negative thing. They think pain, exhaustion, and setbacks mean they're failing. But struggle isn't a sign to stop. It's a sign that you're growing. Your body and mind only adapt when they are forced to. Think about lifting weights. If you stop the moment your muscles start burning, you'll never get stronger. But if you push through those last few reps, the ones that feel impossible, that's when the real progress happens. The same applies to everything in life. Business, personal growth, endurance, success. The growth happens when you push beyond what's comfortable. Most people live inside a box they created for themselves. They set limits on what they think they can do. I could never run a marathon. I'm not smart enough to start a business. I don't have the discipline to get in shape. These limits are self-imposed. They're based on fear, on past failures, on what society tells them is realistic. But those limits aren't real. They only exist because people believe in them. The moment you start questioning those beliefs and pushing past them, you realize you're capable of so much more than you ever imagined. The key to breaking those limits is to keep going when your mind tells you to stop. Every time you push past the voice that says, I can't, you prove to yourself that you can, and the more you do this, the stronger you become. Your mind adapts. What once felt impossible becomes your new normal. That's why the greatest athletes, the most successful people, the ones who truly dominate in their fields, they all have one thing in common. They refuse to stop when it gets hard. But pushing past your limits isn't just about one big moment of effort. It's about showing up every single day and challenging yourself. It's about training when you don't feel like it, working on your goals when no one is watching, and doing more than what's expected. It's about making I don't feel like it irrelevant, because the truth is, the most successful people in the world don't always feel like putting in the work. They just do it anyway. Pain is temporary, but the results of pushing through it last forever. The moment you realize that your limits are nothing more than a mental construct, you unlock a whole new level of potential. You become the kind of person who doesn't back down, who doesn't accept mediocrity, who keeps pushing forward no matter what. That's the difference between those who achieve greatness and those who settle. One group stops at 40%, the other pushes for the remaining 60%. Which one do you want to be? Most people avoid struggle. They see pain, failure, and setbacks as signs to stop, as proof that they are not good enough or that their goals are out of reach. They want things to be easy, smooth, and comfortable. But the truth is, nothing worth having comes without struggle. Growth happens in discomfort. It happens when you face resistance, when things get tough, when you are pushed beyond your limits. That is the place where real transformation occurs. When you embrace the struggle, you stop running from the very thing that is meant to make you stronger. You stop seeing obstacles as roadblocks and start seeing them as opportunities. Every challenge you face is a chance to grow, to become tougher, to level up. Most people fear hardship, but the strongest people actively seek it. They know that the harder the battle, the greater the reward. They know that without struggle, there is no progress. The problem is that most people have been conditioned to believe that struggle is a bad thing. Society tells us to look for shortcuts, to avoid pain, to take the easiest path. But nothing great is ever achieved by avoiding difficulty. Think about anyone who has ever accomplished something meaningful. Every athlete, every entrepreneur, every leader, they all have one thing in common. They endured struggle. They went through the pain, the failures, the setbacks, and they kept moving forward. They didn't quit when things got hard. They leaned into the difficulty because they understood that was the only way to grow. Pain is temporary, but quitting lasts forever. When you go through a tough situation, you have two choices. You can either let it break you, or you can let it build you. The people who achieve greatness are the ones who refuse to let struggle defeat them. Instead, they use it as fuel. Every time they get knocked down, they get back up stronger. Every time they fail, they learn from it and improve. That is the mindset that separates winners from everyone else. The reason struggle is so powerful is because it forces you to dig deep. When everything is going well, when things are easy, you don't learn much about yourself. But when you are tested, when you are tired, when nothing seems to be going your way, that is when you find out what you are really made of. That is when you discover how much strength you truly have. Most people never reach their full potential because they never push themselves far enough to find out. They quit when things get uncomfortable, never realizing how much more they had left in them. David Goggins talks about callousing the mind, about building mental toughness through repeated exposure to hardship. Just like lifting weights builds physical strength, going through struggle builds mental strength. The more you push yourself through tough situations, the more resilient you become. What once seemed impossible starts to feel normal. The things that used to break you no longer affect you the same way. You develop an unstoppable mindset because you have been through the fire and come out stronger on the other side. Most people waste their energy complaining about how hard life is. They focus on what they don't have, on what's going wrong, on why things are unfair. But the people who succeed don't waste time complaining. They accept that life is tough and they push forward anyway. They understand that struggle is not something to be feared, it's something to be embraced. It's the price you pay for growth, for success, for becoming the best version of yourself. So the next time you find yourself in a difficult situation, don't run from it, lean into it. See it for what it really is, an opportunity to grow, because in the end, it's not the easy moments that define you. It's the struggles you overcome that shape who you are. Most people don't realize that the greatest battle they will ever fight is the one within themselves. The enemy is not the competition, not the circumstance. It's not the external world. It's the voice inside their own head telling them to take it easy, to slow down, to quit. The way you talk to yourself, the thoughts you allow to take root in your mind, and the beliefs you hold about your own potential will determine whether you succeed or fail. If you don't master your mind, it will master you. The human brain is wired for comfort and self-preservation. It wants to keep you safe, to keep you in familiar surroundings, to stop you from stepping outside your comfort zone. That's why the moment things get difficult, your mind starts making excuses. I'm too tired. I don't have time. I'll start tomorrow. These thoughts feel real, but they are nothing more than lies designed to keep you from reaching your full potential. The problem is that most people listen to these excuses. They believe them. They let their mind control them instead of taking control of their mind. The people who achieve greatness are the ones who learn how to override that weak voice. They don't negotiate with their excuses. When their mind tells them to quit, they push harder. When it tells them they've had enough, they dig deeper. They have trained themselves to reject the limitations their mind tries to impose. And over time, they become unstoppable. One of the most powerful realizations you can have is that your thoughts are not always true. Just because your mind tells you that you can't do something doesn't mean it's a fact. Just because you feel tired doesn't mean you're actually at your limit. The body is capable of far more than the mind allows. David Goggin talks about the idea that when you feel like you're done, you're really only at about 40% of your capacity. That means you have another 60% left in the tank, but your mind is trying to convince you otherwise. If you can learn to push past that mental barrier, you will unlock potential you never knew you had. Mastering your mind isn't just about pushing through physical challenges. It applies to everything in life. Whether it's pursuing a career goal, building discipline, or overcoming adversity, the same principle applies. Your mind will always look for the easy way out. It will try to steer you toward comfort, away from anything that requires effort. That's why most people never reach their full potential. They let their minds control them instead of taking control of their minds. One of the best ways to build mental strength is to seek out discomfort intentionally. Put yourself in difficult situations and force yourself to endure them. Train when you don't feel like training. Wake up early when you want to sleep in. Do the things you hate not because they are fun, but because they make you stronger. Every time you push past resistance, you reinforce the idea that you are in control. Not your excuses, not your feelings, not your temporary discomfort. The truth is, most people live their entire lives being controlled by their own minds. They never challenge their thoughts, never push past their perceived limits, never find out what they are truly capable of. But the ones who break free, The ones who achieve greatness are the ones who learn how to master their minds. They silence the weak voice telling them to quit. They embrace pain, struggle, and discomfort because they know that's where growth happens. They take control of their thoughts, their actions, and ultimately their lives. At the end of the day, your mind will either be your greatest ally or your worst enemy. The choice is yours. Will you let it control you, or will you take control and become the person you were meant to be?